Hi everybody, it's me, Charles Norman, Sports Solutions LLC, the creators of Athletic SOS. It is a software technology that allows you to help your kid find an athletic scholarship if you're coming from the high school level. And so we take your academics, the sports you play, the level you think you can participate in college, and the area of the country you might be interested in, and we show you all the schools you academically qualified to attend, and even which level you are as far as qualifying. Are you at the very high level or are you at a lower level? And then we even show you the schools that don't require the SAT and ACT as a requirement. And then what we want you to do is go ahead and vet those schools. Let your kids vet the schools. Let the parents, you guys go ahead and vet. You guys sit down together and go, hey, which schools here make sense? Where do you want to go? Who has your major? All these different things that you want to try to figure out so that you go to the school that best fits you. And then what you want to do is either use your high school coach or your travel club coach, or you can do it yourself, which we don't recommend, but if you have to, you have to if you don't have any other help. And then you let them know where you're going to be and let them come and verify you. The biggest danger for kids is that they go and hope to get discovered, hope some coach sees them somewhere, and it's very difficult to do. Most of the times when coaches are going to these viewing tournaments and combines and showcases and things like that, they're going to verify. There's somebody that's already on their radar and they're going to verify, not to discover. What will happen a lot of times, and where parents get this confused, is that there will be a kid that's a freshman or sophomore or a junior that is playing at the varsity level already, and they can see that talent and they try to go after it. It's very rare. Usually if a kid's that good that early, a lot of schools are coming, and most schools don't want to compete that high at that level. And then the other thing is that most schools try to recruit in their own backyard. So if they're on the East Coast or the West Coast or the South or the mid of the country, they're going to try to go after the kids in that area because they want to build those relationships with those travel club programs. They want to build with those high school programs, those coaches, so they can get more kids coming to them. And there's a certain style of play that a lot of the coaches in college play, and so they're trying to find programs that kind of mesh what they're looking for so they don't have to start all over again. When you get to college, you should be ready to play your freshman year. Seriously, you should be. Football might be a little bit different because of the size, the weight, the skill, the speed, all that thing. They can kind of get you up to speed. But for the most part, they want you to be ready to go on day one. And I think they've got to mold you into a college level player. That's a different level. But the talent should be there, the understanding of the game, the skill, all of those things should already be there. And so they're going to be looking at certain programs. But if you can get to a point where you can let a school know, hey, listen, I'm academically qualified to attend here. I want to come here. You have my major. I like your style of play. I've been following you guys forever. I went to your camp, all these different things. And that coach knows that you're interested in them. Now you need somebody to vet you, to vouch for you. And that's where your high school coach, your travel club coach, if they have that kind of clout, they can vouch for you. And that's somebody, a third party, saying, hey, this kid can do this. I'm recommending you take a look at them. They'll come and see, especially if it's a NCAA Division III, Division II school, if it's a NAIA school, schools like that. They can't go across the country. They don't have the staff to do all of that. So if you guys can get to them and you know that school fits you, you know you fit, look at the roster. We tell you all that stuff inside of Athletic SOS, but I don't want to get too deep into that. I just want to explain why our software is important. And I think the biggest piece for our software is we don't charge for it. It's no cost. And everybody gets a little side-eyed about that. But I'll explain next week. If you guys come next week, I'm going to explain why we do things the way we do and where we're going with this. I don't do things in compartmentalized fashion. I'm trying to build something for my entire family. I'm trying to make sure that this is a full spectrum thing that we're building with Sports Solutions LLC. I see the holes and I'm going to fill them all for you guys. So anyway, that's for next week. What we're doing this week, and let me get into it now, is we're going to, the NCAA had their first webinar of the 2023-2024 season, and everything's going to change. And if you look at the title, this year is going to be chaos. I can see where a lot of families are going to miss out on what they thought they were going to be able to do because they did not follow the rules. At the end of this video, I'm going to put a screen up. It's going to have a QR code. They're going to do a webinar for parents coming up really soon. So go ahead and look at that. If it's passed by the time you see this, go ahead and go onto their website, the Eligibility Center website, and find out when they're going to do future webinars. They'll keep doing them. You need to know the rules. Now, everything I'm going to say from here moving forward is my opinion. Do not use what I say as a criteria for what you're going to do or not going to do as far as getting yourself prepared or positioned to be able to receive an athletic scholarship. You will not receive an athletic scholarship if you're not in the eligibility centers, and that's the NCAA and the NAIA, and you're not qualified. They will go, the college coaches will go and look in those eligibility centers to see if you're qualified, because why would they make an offer to you if you can't accept it? So those are some of the things that you need to think about. Now, these are my opinions, and this is just where I'm going to land here, so you guys can take it for what it's worth. So going through everything and listening, and the webinar I listened to was for high school administrators. It was not for the parents, but it's the same information for the most part. The NCAA is trying to come back and take control. So from 2020, when the pandemic started, all the way until September 1st of 2023, it was helter-skelter. The NCAA got a little bit scared, and they just let everybody, any kind of classes you took online, all the rules were thrown out, and now they're coming back to take control. The problem is, pre-pandemic, they were already running into trouble. They had overreached, and so they had all of these rules and all the stuff that they were doing. They lost on the NIL. Because of the pandemic, they couldn't hold their little rigid rules for if you qualify or don't qualify. They were feeling powerful, and no matter what, everything I've seen in my entire life is people overreach. You get some power, and they always overreach. And it's going to go back the other way, and you can see the world changing. It goes in and out and in and out. And then the other thing that I've noticed, if you watch the money, when money starts drying up, when there's trouble with money, with any kind of situation, or there's a bunch of money to be made, people will make decisions that have nothing to do with the good of what they're supposed to be doing, who they're supposed to be helping, what they were actually built for. I see it in a lot of nonprofits I've been working with lately in the youth area. There is maybe it's a human thing for greed, and that's why these are kind of things, and I'm going to talk about all this stuff as we go through. So if you guys stick with me, if you like what I'm doing here, subscribe to the channel. We're actually growing pretty fast. I usually don't ask that, but if you guys subscribe to the channel, I can get some money from YouTube, and then that'll help me too, because I'm going to talk about all the stuff that we want to do as we move forward. But anyway, so I think they overreached, the NCAA did, and they got themselves in a little bit of hot water. And so what's happening now is they're coming back, they're putting their rules into place. So for the 2023, September 1st through 2024, when kids graduate from high school, they're taking back over. You're going to have to follow their rules. Let's look at the first rule for NCAA Division III. Now, this one was interesting to me. There used to be some more rules for qualifying there, but right now, all it's going to say is those schools, the NCAA Division III schools, get to make up their own admission rules, and they get to make their own qualification rules, because they don't give athletic scholarships, but what they do is they can give you money if you're going to come and play, and they want you to come to their school. It used to be in the old days, I used to say, they could actually give you more than what you need to go to school. So they were there used to be a set amount that they could give you before. That's kind of gone away, but they used to be able to give you more, but it is not an athletic scholarship. So understand that if someone is playing at the Division III, NCAA Division III level, they are not on an athletic scholarship. They're just getting athletic money, and it's just like any other kind of scholarship for the school. They can take it away, they can keep it with you, whatever. But there are more NCAA Division III schools than any other type of school. You could get the equivalent of a full ride, but they have rules to what they want to do. But I think the big takeaway there is all you have to have done is graduated from high school at that point. So the school is going to make its own rules. So it's a great option for a lot of you guys, especially if you have good grades. You can play pretty good, and you want to play at that next level, and there's so many schools out there. That's a great option for you to be able to get some scholarship money, because school is expensive, and I'm going to talk about that a little bit more as we go forward. Now, the NCAA Division II is the one where I see that they're playing some games here. So in order to be qualified and be able to play your first year, you have to meet some rules. So there's 16 core courses, and this is a big thing for the NCAA. They want to make sure you're prepared academically to attend college, and so they're trying to make that happen. So the 16 core courses, if you go to their website, they'll tell you what they are. It's basically your math, your English, your social studies, things like that, language. So they'll tell you what those courses are, and you have to have completed those before. And here's the interesting thing. It used to be by graduation you had to have completed those. But now the water's a little bit murky, and these are the things that I pay attention to because they're interesting to me. Basically, I think you have to have it done before you start college. So you might have that summer after graduation to kind of make up for certain things, but you have to have graduated. But anyway, so those are some of the rules. Now, maybe you could have graduated later. I don't know. But so you guys need to ask these questions because they never really quite say. And I always know there's loopholes here that are around. So if you want to be able to play your freshman year, you have to finish those 16 core courses. You need a 2.2 GPA or higher, and then you have to have graduated. So otherwise, you cannot play at the D2 level your freshman year. Now, here's the little thing. They only have two levels here. So for the NCAA Division II to be able to get an athletic scholarship and practice but not compete, all you have to do is graduate. So that means you didn't even have to do the 16 core courses. So that feels like a little loophole to me, that if a school really, really wanted you, they could pull you in, give you a scholarship, allow you to practice, almost redshirt you if you really think about it, and now your next year, you'll be ready to go. So those are some of the things you want to think about. That NCAA Division II, that's a huge loophole for me. And one of the interesting things is that when you look at, and so we're going to move to NCAA Division I. Now in NCAA Division I, there's basically 3 levels. There's a qualifier, early qualifier, qualifier, partial qualifier, redshirt, and then there's the non-qualifier. And what was interesting for me was that you have to do the 60. So if you want to play D1 your first year, your freshman year, you have to have completed the 16 core courses, the same as in Division II. But you have to have 10 of those 16 courses completed before you enter your senior year as a high school athlete. And that's really important. That's that differentiator. You need a 2.3 GPA instead of 2.2 for NCAA Division II. And you have to graduate on time and all of that. But that 10 course qualification that you have to have already completed before your senior year is the tricky point. Now that used to be really hard and fast, but again, I see there's a little bit of wiggle room here, because one of the things they didn't mention was, let's say you finished your 11th grade, your junior year in high school, you didn't have those 10 courses done. I think if before your senior year, if you can get that other class in, that you can make up, but they don't say it. And so, but it used to be pretty strict before 2020, before they went to this new set of modified rules. So it may be a little bit of wiggle room for you to get that extra class in during the summer, take a summer or an online course, things like that. So that's something to think about. But you do need the 2.3 GPA, and you need to meet all of the other criteria for there. So like I said, I'm going to leave a link down below. I mean, I'm going to show a page at the end of this. It's going to have a QR code. Look at that QR code. Go to the parents webinar. Look through that webinar and really pay attention, because a lot of kids are going to get messed up. So here's the next thing I want to talk about. Here's why I call it chaos. What's just happened, and we've talked about this the last few weeks, at the collegiate level, they've switched to the transfer portal. We talk a lot about the NIL stuff that's going on. All of this stuff is happening, and it's caused chaos in college anyway. So now you're coming out of high school, you want to play at the collegiate level, you've got kids in the transfer portal that are moving around like crazy now. A coach leaves here, coach leaves there. These kids are leaving one school and going to another. So you really got to be paying attention to what's going on. So you're competing against those kids. Then you've got kids coming from junior college, right? So these kids are coming from junior college, and they want to go play at the 4-year schools. They got 2 years of eligibility. So one of the things we talk about inside of Athletic SOS, you want to start looking at the schools that take a lot of junior college kids, because now if you're thinking about going to that school, you are also going to be up against a set of kids that have already played at the collegiate level. Yeah, maybe not the highest level, but they've played at the collegiate level. They're probably pretty good. They're coming in a little bit more seasoned, a little more ready to go. And there's some colleges that just do that over and over and over again. Then you have the foreign exchange students, and I'm going to talk a little bit about why I think this is going to be a bigger deal than it used to be. Those kids are coming over and they want to play. So you want to look, when you're looking at the roster, one of the things we do in Athletic SOS, if you're interested in a school, you know you're academically qualified to attend that school, they have your sport at that level, you want to look at that roster. You'll see a lot of foreign students, and for some different sports here, you know, a lot of the winter sports, they'll get kids from overseas and bring them over and let them come and attend their college to give them a full team and a good team. So you want to look at that, because now you're competing with those kids. And so all of this stuff is going on. This is chaos to me, but the chaos can work in your favor. But I think the biggest piece of this for me is, because no longer is the NCAA requiring the ACT and the SAT as a criteria. You heard, I didn't mention that in any of those different levels. You don't need the ACT and SAT, and that changes the ball game. And I told you guys this before it happened. I saw it coming. That puts the colleges in the driver's seat. Now that there is a way for a college to be able to take a really talented kid that didn't do that well in high school academically, but they want to bring them in, they can give them a year to see if they can get acclimated, and then they can let them go if they want to. But that takes a spot away from you that did what you were supposed to do in high school. You did everything right, but you don't get that spot now, because now the colleges are they can do whatever they want, and they can keep you out. Now here's what's going to end up happening. There's going to be a ton of families that are going to see that the ACT and SAT are no longer required, and they're cheering that right now. But what they don't see is that the college still requires it for admission into the college. And NCAA, I give them credit, they kept on emphasizing that. You need to make sure you qualify to get into the school also. Don't just qualify to meet the NCAA standards for being able to participate in sports. Can you get into that school? You guys need to pay attention to that, and we'll tell you whether or not you academically qualified. But even in our software, we're 1 year behind. They could be changing their rules as we move forward, because we have to collect that data, and that data is not going to be here for the current year because it's not there yet. So these are kind of things you got to be on top of it. And if you are on top of it, you're going to be in better position than everybody else. You're going to be able to get in. A college coach is going to be able to say, this kid's got all their ducks in a row, let's bring them in, because it shows that they or their family members are going to stay on top of what needs to be done, how to get themselves in position to graduate from college, to keep their grades up so they can make it all the way through. And so that's a big, big deal. The colleges are now going to be able to make up their own rules on who gets in, who doesn't get in. And one of the funny things, remember I talked about overreach before? The people that were pushing for the ACT, SAT to be taken out as a criteria because it was unfair, it was biased, all of those things, and maybe in some ways it was. But it was a point for you to be able to say, hey, wait a minute, how come I didn't get in? I did really well on my SAT, ACTs. I got great GPAs. I took the core courses. I should be able to get into this school. It's very hard before for a college to deny you for whatever reason, because they wanted someone else, somebody's family members in there, whatever it was. Now, they still did it in a lot of ways, but at least you had a measuring stick. You don't have a measuring stick anymore. You really don't. The college is now in complete control of whether or not you're going to get into that school, whether you're going to be able to play. So this goes past athletics. This is for anything. They can now decide who they want on their campus even more than people thought they were doing. The same thing with the affirmative action situation. It's going to backfire on the people that keep. Every time somebody tries to give them a leg, or they think somebody else has an unfair advantage and they want that advantage, you're not going to win by hurting somebody else to get where you want to be. What you do is you find out, okay, where can I get in? Where do I fit in? Let me go after that. Do a little bit of homework and you can get to where you want to get to. You're just going to have to do a little bit extra. Sometimes the world is biased. Sometimes the world is against you. Sometimes there are forces at work that will keep you from reaching the normal way to get there, the path that should be fair, the way it should happen. That's not how it works anymore. Now, here's the advantage for all of this stuff. It's a free-form world now. This year, if there's something you're trying to do, you're trying to get in, everybody should be able to get that athletic scholarship they want, because some kids are going to flame out. Some really talented kids are going to flame out and not be able to get there, and they won't even know enough about the NCAA rules to be able to say, oh, you know what, let's talk to the coach anyway. Let me explain what happened here, and maybe they'll recruit me anyway. Because now the coaches can get you into that school, they can get you athletic scholarship money, and they can allow you to practice. If you're that kind of talented kid and you know the rules, you can go and make an argument for yourself, and that'll show your maturity also if you messed up somewhere down the line. And it looks like the NCAA's got a lot of little loopholes that if you really play this correctly, you should be okay. Here's the other thing that I want to mention. Your relationship with your high school counselor, your athletic director is huge right now. It's really important. They've got to get you into the NCAA. They got to send your transcripts up. They're going to make sure you qualify. They're going to be the ones going to be able to check to make sure your core courses are correct. Guys, if you can get all of your boosters, everybody in there, you guys need to meet with your AD and find some courses that you guys, your high school, can get certified that can be covered by the NCAA. The NCAA gets to tell you whether or not your courses meet the core course requirements. Sometimes a lot of kids take what sounds like the right course to get in, especially when they do language or these special like computer things for math. They do all of these little side things. Those courses at your high school need to be certified by the NCAA for them to count. The last 3 years they didn't have to do it, and so there has to be some rigor to the courses. They're not just going to let you take an online course or a little course to kind of bunny hop you in so that you can get in. They're being more and more strict on which courses. Again, once somebody has power, they start to pull those levers of power to kind of say, nope, we're not going to let you do that. You can do this, but you can't do that. We don't take this class. We took that class from this school, but we're not going to take it from your school because of X, Y, Z. And you have to have an AD. You have to have administration at your high school that's willing to fight on behalf of your kids to make sure that they get over the hump, because they could have done everything right, and then all of a sudden a course wasn't accepted, or the school didn't submit the course to be accepted. So make sure you've got everything straightened out, and don't let the high school mess you up. So these are all those things that we want to stay on top of, that we want to be aware of. It's not just your talent. It's not just the school that the travel club program or the high school that you went to that's going to get you in to where you need to get. And here's the other thing. You have to play, and you have to play against other college kids at some point. College level kids, not college kids necessarily, but college level kids, other kids that are trying to go after athletic scholarship. You got to compete against them. See, a lot of times kids are out in some rural area, they're somewhere, and yes, there's some super talented kids that just go against all of that, that they're the diamond in the rush, that some little coach saw them somewhere over in the side and go, oh my goodness, this kid, let's stay over here, don't go play anywhere else, we're going to recruit you. That can happen, but that's very rare. So you got to come out of your neck of the woods and go compete against other people. Go compete against people with other styles. This is one of the other things that I want to mention to you guys. You guys should be looking at schools that may not necessarily play your style, your high school style, that they play a little bit differently, because you could be the difference maker. Yeah, everybody plays this way, I play that way, and so when I come in here, I'm the odd person out, but I make the difference for this team to get over the hump. One of the other things I want to talk about is you guys start looking at schools. If you use our software, again, the software is free. I leave you a code down below. I leave you instructions for how to use the code, use the software. You're looking for kids, for schools that are in the top half of their conference year after year after year. Yeah, they're going to drop. Maybe they don't win the conference every year, but they're in the playoffs every year. You want to go to the playoffs every year. That's how your school makes extra money. And so that means, so the schools that are serious are going to make sure that they are in there. So you want to go to a school, yes, maybe every 4 or 5 years they win that conference championship, and that's really what you want to win. You want to win your conference championship. Yeah, it'd be great to win the NCAA championship, and I'm not against that, but if you can win your conference championship, that's where you're good, because now you can go to the NCAA tournament, and then that's even more money for the school. And which brings me to, and I don't want to make this too long because we're going to be doing this as we move forward, is the idea that colleges are in trouble financially. The whole world's in trouble financially. One or two things are going to happen. Schools are going to make the big mistake, and I can see them sitting around that conference room right now, that committee on the school. They're going to either drop some sports, or they're going to push all their chips in and they're going to expand their sports. The schools that expand are going to do the best moving forward. You have to be able to bring some revenue in, and even bigger than revenue. And I know most of the sports don't make money, but the other thing it does is it makes kids want to come to your school. They want to be a part of something that's a winning tradition. The schools that put their effort into sports, I know it sounds bad, you're supposed to go to college, it's for learning, I get it. It's all of that stuff is true. But the schools that have a robust athletic programs, the kids from that area want to go there. They want to be a part of that, something that's winning. Look at Colorado right now, and I'm not doing the Deion Sanders thing, but look at how that completely changed that school. And I saw it happen to Boise State a few years ago. This is just for football, but it could happen in a certain sport. I just watched this weekend, I watched the sailing championships. They were out here in Los Angeles in July. I went, but I watched it on TV. It was on TV later, and people came from all over the country, but so many people were in the stands. I was just amazed, and I'm just trying to figure, I don't even know what's going on. I'm trying to learn how all of these sports work, because these are opportunities to get athletic scholarships. But people want to get excited about something, and when they get excited, they give money. And these schools are going to need their boosters to give more money, and the way you do it is you put something for them to be excited about while they're in their mundane lives, working, doing their 9 to 5s, they're doing things, they've made some money, they want to give back. They want to be part of something that's great, something that's going. The other thing that's happening, the whole world's broke right now. Everybody's kind of going, we're going into a recession, and people can say whatever they want to say, but you guys feel how tight everything is. If it's from food to energy to whatever's going on in your life, you can feel things tightening down. Insurance, rent, house notes, your interest rate for your car, everything is just through the roof, right? And you're not making that much more to get there. And so these schools, they used to use kids from overseas and get them to pay full freight to come in, right? That was how they made up a lot. You watch a lot of the schools on their campuses, there's big overseas population of kids coming in. With those countries, those kids don't have the money. Now, some of them will still come. Some people are still, there's the rich and the poor. I understand that. But there's not as many in that middle that would push to get over here, because people have to conserve their money. So they're going to lose that type of money. The in-state, out-of-state things, people just can't afford to send their kids too far. So the sports programs are going to be really important. And why does sports end up, even for media? Because sports is one of the few things that you want to watch real time, that the whole family can get around and they can watch it. And I know a lot of people, and I hear all the time how, the dumb Americans or the dumb whatever are into sports, and they're just, just eggheads, are just sitting around cheering, watching a TV game, or wasting their money tailgating, doing that. You got to live life. And the exciting thing about sports is you don't know what the outcome is going to be of any sporting thing. You know who's supposed to win, but you don't know who's going to win, and there's always that chance, and that's exciting. It feels almost like the rush people get when they gamble, or they jump out of an airplane to parachute. People need to have something to put some excitement in their life, and sports does that, and it does it right now. And sometimes it's just your will, it's just your effort, it's just that you went the extra mile, people overlooked you. That kind of excitement, especially if you're attached to it some kind of way, I don't care what you say, there's nothing else like it in the world that gets you just moving, that high and that low, that sense of something special is happening here, and you're there, and you're part of it, and you were part of it before it became special. These are all the cool things that are happening in the world. The other thing I was going to say about this, I know this is about the NCAA, and again, I'll put that down at the end for you guys so you can look at it. The other thing that I wanted to say about this was, you don't have to get on the top travel club program, whatever it is in your area. Why don't you get a couple of people and go and make sure you're going to play against that top club program. You don't have to sit on the bench when you're almost as good as that person, or maybe you're even better than that person, but they've been there longer, or their parents are more connected or something like that. Let that go now. This is part of the movement that we want to create. And even at the collegiate level, when you go in and you look at a school, look at who they play against. Maybe you want to go to school A. Can you go to school B, who gives school A a lot of trouble, and you're going to get to play against them, and you're going to be able to topple them. You're going to be able to take them down. You cannot do it on your own. Unless you're playing an individual sport, you cannot do it on your own. So try to make sure they're bringing people in, that they're serious about what they're doing. It's just a little extra homework you're going to do that's going to make the whole difference in your life. In fact, it's a little extra homework that you do is going to make the difference in your entire life. It's always leverage in the world that gets you from here to here. It's leverage. The problem with leverage is if you over leverage and things don't go your way, this goes here, right? So you can lose everything. And financially, it's the way of the world. People go, and then they get pretty bold about what they're doing. They over leverage, and then the economy, something happens, something breaks, and then next thing you know, you've lost everything. But you have to take those risks in life. And then if you blow it, something goes wrong, you got to have a way of building it back up. And that's why you got to understand what you're doing and how it works, so that you can say, okay, this broke, I need to get back there. And then the other thing is that you're in a network of people that it may have broke for a lot of people, and they know you know what you're doing, things didn't go your way, and they'll say, okay, I'll work with you still to get you back to where you were, because you're bringing some value to me, because I could be in trouble too. So anyway, all of this stuff is kind of sideways. Next week, what I want to do is I want to talk about who you can trust, who's in your corner, and how can you tell, so that you can make sure that you're trusting the right people, so you don't get stuck relying on somebody, and then the time when you're senior and you didn't get what you needed to get, they cast you to the side, and you're standing there like this. Hey, what happened? I was, I was faithful to you guys, but all of a sudden I'm old news. What happened here? And so we want to get rid of that. We want you to be in the right spot. And I want to give you a few things that I think you should be looking at. And then we're just going to keep moving forward. And then about 2 weeks, maybe 3 weeks from now, I want to sit and tell you guys the plans that we have for Sports Solution LLC, where we're going with it, and how we're going to get there, how I've set it up so that it's space by space by space. And then I'm going to talk about you guys as athletes so that you don't get stuck. And this happens to a lot of kids. They put all their eggs in one basket, now they're stuck. And I'm going to talk to you guys about how to plan out what you want to do. I'm doing it in business, and I've had some setbacks, but I'm never stuck. And I'm going to tell you how I think about things and how I move forward on things so that I can keep moving forward. And, well, I don't want to get too far into it, so we'll do that later. Anyway, you guys, best of luck to you always. Look down below. I give you the code for Athletic SOS. I give you instructions for how to use the code. I have 2 codes down there. One is the regular code. You can go ahead and use that. I think it's ASOS and something there. And then I have one called YouthSportsMagic. That's going to be a separate, if you want to sign up with that one, I'm going to be sending those people their emails, because when you register, you have to use your email. I'm going to be sending you guys stuff about some of the things that we're going to be doing moving forward. With Sports Solution. But if you're just trying to figure out how to get an athletic scholarship, go ahead and use the first code. And then I'm going to have I have a little video that shows you what Athletic SOS is, kind of a 1-minute video that shows you how it works really quickly. And then when you get in there, you kind of have a feeling of what you just signed up for. And then the last thing is I'm going to put that NCAA link down there. It's a QR code. It's just a page from the webinar that they gave out, and then you guys can use that and go ahead and get signed up for the webinars. And if that webinar is already passed, I'm sure they'll give you an opportunity to sign up for future webinars. And once you get on that mailing list, even if you miss a webinar, they'll send you the replay automatically, and that's what you want. You want to stay on top of everything that's going on. As always, guys, best of luck to all of you. So no matter what you guys are doing, all your endeavors, everything that you're reaching out for, best of luck to you guys. I hope you guys can live all your dreams. I hope the world's magical for you as you move forward. And if you guys can rock with us, if you can like this video, if you can subscribe to us, we can grow. We can get this message out to a lot more people. Again, we're going to be starting with the younger kids too. I got some stuff coming down the line for that. I've got some cool experiences coming up. One kind of didn't go the way I wanted to go, and I'm going to talk about that probably in the next 2 weeks. But what we're going to do instead, I'm just trying to sew some things up, and we're just going to keep moving forward, man. We're going to keep rocking out. The software is my gateway in, and I'm going to talk about all of this stuff as we move forward. But you have to have a way in, and we've done a fantastic job. I just went to a business expo, and everybody there, and it had nothing to do with sports, and everybody's amazed that we're not like some rich, crazy person. And then when I tell them I don't charge for you guys to use the software, they're all flipping out. They're trying to figure out what I'm trying to pull off here. What am I doing? Am I just a crazy person? What's happening? But we have a plan, and we're going to execute it our way. And those are some of the things that I want you guys to be able to do with you and your families. All right, guys. Talk to you later. Bye.